The original MGS1 has 30 VR missions on 10 stages that later set the template for Integral. Each stage gets 1, an untimed sneaking mission, 2, a timed version, typically with remixed enemy patterns, and 3, a combat version where efficiently eliminating all enemies is essential for enabling egress. This facilitates mastery of multiple modes of gameplay from total stealth to total violence. For the most basic sneaking mode, it's evading one guy, evading two guys, evading two guys with a crawling opportunity, evading two guys in a more complex room, evading on loud floors, evading security cameras, evading two guys with low cover, evading two guys while leaving footprints, a big ol' hallway, and a large area that adds searchlights as well. Complete all those stealthily and time attack unlocks. Now the game imposes a time limit and adds guards here and there or adjusts routes so our old strategies might not work anymore. Depending on how quickly we complete each level, we get one of 4 codec responses. Good work. You're as good as they said. Impressive, Snake. Excellent, Snake. Damn! For the third lap, we get a gun. Each level confers a handful of SOCOM bullets and grants a bonus at the end for remaining ammo. Again, the guards are moved or increased, and we must remain stealthy, but fortunately our pistol is silenced. It's not very difficult. And for one last challenge, we unlock Survival Mode to run all 10 gun shooting missions straight in under 8 minutes at a pace of 48 seconds per level. Completing this unlocks the technical demonstration where we can see the top time strategies for the gun shooting mode, which was cool in the pre-YouTube days. That's the entirety of MGS1's original VR experience. If we charitably consider which in-game areas these could be training us for, the close quarters alcove sneaking in the first mission is kind of reminiscent of the catwalk above the heliport. Mission 2 reminds me of the armory, and 7 the nuclear warhead storage building. 8 recalls the arrangement along the heliport snowbank, 9 the comms tower hallway later in the game, and 10 sort of reflects the heliport itself. We can pretend these missions were designed from satellite photos or blueprints or something. Completing at least one VR mission also results in Snake adding an extra line of dialogue with Colonel on the docks in the main game. Released almost a year after MGS1, Integral, or VR Missions, introduces an additional target shooting category and expands the weapon coverage from SOCOM to the full armory. The back of the game box claims 300 missions, but we can ignore the 110 or so untimed practice versions of the sneaking and weapon missions, making it more like 190 distinct missions. The first 6 levels are reused from the time attack variant of MGS1's VR training, as well as 8, 10, 12, and 15. In between are 5 new stages. One involves lasers, including cigarettes to spot them with. One is a camera bridge requiring a cardboard box. One introduces fall-away trap floors. One is a more narrow searchlight scenario, and one is a dense mixed-height block setup with several guards. So these new ones kind of fill in a few gameplay mechanic gaps from the original set. In the SOCOM mode, as with before, 10 levels here reappear from the gun shooting series. For the others there are more guards, but generally the guard routes are generous in that they often start by turning away from us or separating to allow us to progress through them in a natural order. It's still sneaking mode so we can't trigger alerts, but the guards are very imperceptive to silenced pistol shenanigans. Next are the weapon modes, with bespoke target shooting ranges for each type. I'm also going to cover the advanced modes at the same time for comparison's sake. The latter involve human targets on different maps, but here stealth is a bonus, not a requirement. The SOCOM series is pretty simple. For this and the FAMAS, we'll need to master holding X to run and shoot simultaneously for top times. Each target takes 3 shots, and starting on level 3, they'll move along repeating paths that might require a little bit of memorization to eliminate quickly. In the advanced modes, we can progress quickly by noisily eliminating the guards and letting the others rush to the scene, but that usually won't be enough for first place. After some practice, these can all be run in about 10 or 15 seconds. The C4 missions feel a little bit different given the nature of the weapon. The first 2 missions aren't very exciting, but once they start moving targets, things get more interesting. The orange targets explode and can trigger additional explosions, leading to a bit of puzzle solving on level 5 to trigger all the walls in a single charge. Against guards, our best bet sometimes is to forego the explosives entirely and rely on physical brutality to win the day. Snapping necks is perfectly acceptable. That said, guards don't notice even if we plant charges on their person, and in doing so we can create a moving explosives platform. Otherwise, there isn't much of a trick to these missions, especially level 5 where the guards can't spot you down 3 measly steps. The FAMAS. Now we're talking. We have plenty of bullets to let loose and nothing too tricky. Just don't lean on the trigger. The last 2 stages, question mark and exclamation point, are fun run-and-gun ones that we really don't get to experience in the main game. The advanced FAMAS missions are some of the easiest. The penalty for triggering an alert is minor, and again, we have more than enough ammo. Level 4 has trapdoors, and level 5 adds security cameras to give us pause, but with run-and-gun we can still clear 20 seconds. Grenade missions become easier when we learn that Snake chucks grenades about 3 grid squares ahead on even ground. On level 3 we need to cook the grenade in our hand for a couple seconds to hit this floating box with a mid-air detonation. Level 4 feels kind of like a timing-based carnival game, and 5 is more mid-air targets with movement this time. The advanced missions are a little more compelling, with guards patrolling below our feet and limited opportunities to spot them. Level 4 has a satisfying opportunity to blow up all 4 guards with a single grenade after some evasion, and level 5 allows us to catch all 5 at once with a good success rate. Now, if you're thinking the claymores are basically a less interesting C4, I agree. The twist here is that the levels are mined when we arrive, so there's a diffusal component as well. Otherwise, the targets move by necessity, and there aren't too many surprises aside from level 4 trying to catch us off guard by chaotically moving fast targets in from off-screen, and level 5 clustering movements to catch us in our own explosions. The advanced missions still have preset mines to collect, but the guards generally don't hassle us much as they patrol their tiny routes. 4 makes this easier with noisy floors that'll draw the guards in, and 5 is memorable because there are a ton of mines, but we don't start with a detector, leaving it to trial and error or belly crawling to deal with the 2 guards. The iconic remote control Nikita missile has 3 easy levels with slow or stationary targets. In level 3 we can run up close to fire and avoid navigating the halls at all. 1 more claustrophobic stage that requires the first-person camera, and a challenging level 5 combining alternating walls with gun cameras requiring a steady hand. The advanced missions largely partition the guards from us, so we're forced to steer the missiles. Level 3 has a sort of maze that's indicated from above by the flooring, and level 4 leverages the fact that Nikita missiles somehow know how to ascend staircases to gain elevation and reach a high guard. Level 5 adds gun cameras during the stair climb and ends with a satisfying bowling pin setup. Here we go, my personal least favorite, the PSG-1 sniper rifle. Some levels offer diazepam to steady your shot, but it isn't really necessary. On 3 and 4 you'll need patience as the targets lazily move around the structure, and on level 5 there's some deception with the walls obscuring them. The advanced mode's basically the same, because the guards walk so slowly and they die with 1 shot anywhere in their body. Level 3 has a sneaky guard that can surprise us up close with his route though. Level 4 requires a bit of hide and seek to find all the guards walking around the perimeter through our scope, and on level 5 the narrow wall gap restricts our aim while we shoot out the seemingly bulletproofed windows to reach the guards behind. And finally, the missile launcher. Since this is a lock-on weapon, the challenge comes in the form of moving targets that are obscured by nearby geometry. The large shapes move in all directions and can be hard to track down quickly. Level 4 has these medium-range pillars as obstructions, and 5 moves the columns close, so we risk accidental self-destruction if we don't fire carefully. The advanced missions are easy to complete but require some finesse for good times. In levels 2 and 3, the walls make the easy shot from distance prone to interception. On level 4 we will quickly be swarmed by guards after our first missile alerts the squad, and the missiles don't work well up close, so be quick. Same for 5, but once again we're gifted by a group shot opportunity if we have patience. And that wraps up the individual weapon-focused meat and potatoes of the game. Now things start to get a little more distinct. 1 Minute Battle has 2 flavors, versus targets and versus enemies. Both will spawn an endless supply while we try to set a high score. The weaponless guard round gives us a softball by making all the guards assume a stationary abyss-facing position for easy kickoffs. SOCOM makes for a fun target shooting gallery, but is one of several regular weapons that don't have much guard strategy beyond cornering yourself and mashing square once the waves begin. The C4 targets are themselves explosive, making this mission turn a bit self-immolating sometimes. The guard round is also tricky because we can't fight back very quickly, so when the guards come, there needs to be some chasing. For the FAMAS, run and shoot. Run and shoot. For the grenades, they give us 100 of the things, and we can barely toss half our supply before time runs out. Go nuts. Claymores are unexciting with targets, but with guards, similar to C4, we need some fun evasive maneuvers to continually kite the guards around the boxes and into our cones of death. Nikita missiles, this could have been way better if the different targets had even mildly narrow passes to reach, but as it is, there's basically no strategy. The guards have the narrow passes, but since they rush the spot where the last missile exploded, and they can't really see us or hurt us, it's also pretty dull. The PSG-1 is proper target shooting, oscillating glass targets or guards who are too far away to hear our shots, but if we get lucky we can ping 2 or 3 guards at once. The Stinger's the same story as the grenades, just go ham. Don't let the guards get close or you'll end up an accidental suicide bomber. The Versus 12 mode is the cousin of 1 Minute Battle, where we must kill 12 guards using a random assortment of equipment. While we can snipe everyone in level 1 and shoot everyone in 2, the other levels don't give enough ammo to take everyone out with a single weapon. These still generally end up more fun than challenging though, because lots of explosive toys are at hand. Level 6 is an outlier because weapons and equipment are OSP, so we have to sneak across to gear up before we double back. These missions force us to consider how certain weapons will lead to different scenarios and that can affect the utility of our other weapons in an overall combat encounter, which is good. Mystery mode. Now we're on the proper MGS weirdness. Each mission has a mystery, in quotes, which is usually solved by dragging a suspect to the goal. In Broken Camera, the victim was killed by someone who knocked down a security camera. It's clearly the 9-foot-tall freak with the bump on his head. In Socks, the victim stole the killer's mask. One of the guards is clearly wearing a sock on his head. In Popsicle, it seems like the enemy was having a popsicle. This level's cold, and we can see the vapor and the breath of Snake in 2 of the guards, but not the other, implying that his mouth is already cold for some reason. In Nearsighted, we see glasses and get a clue about not seeing the wall. We can't alert the guards here, but notice that they return to their posts once molested. One of them, if dragged far enough away, will faceplant into the wall on his way back to his spot. In The Getaway, it's a cup game of sorts where we have to tail one guy while the other guys try to very gently disorient us. In The Dying Message, some knowledge of the actual game is required because it references Johnny, the solitary cell guard. His main game claim to fame was being found ass up and naked near the DARPA chief, and knocking out these guards reveals one of them who collapses into his signature pose. In Footprints, said footprints do eventually fade, but it's always the same guy, so it'll take at most 3 attempts, reminiscent of the comms tower bit with Meryl. In A Feeble Man, we can inspect the guards in first-person view to notice one of them is breathing twice as fast as the others. That's our Jittery Jeff. In Disguise, it's glasses again, but this time we can find a familiar blonde wig in the seldom-used East Room. Whoever salutes has in fact played himself. Finally, the very Kojima 10th mission is Sealed Room, where we have 5 minutes to observe a pile of clues in a locked room reminiscent of the Commander's Room. While the various Easter eggs are very fun, the real fun is the increasing panic we feel as the time ticks down without any way to actually solve the mystery. However, in the end, when the timer reaches 4 seconds, the victim stands up and the bottle of ketchup is revealed, and a fun twist on Snake's own use of ketchup to fool the jail guard. Now the even better puzzle mode. This just plays with the limits of the engine. First, we need a grenade to domino all 7 guards in one go, which I think is the maximum number of enemies the game supports at one time. We then have a similar one using our kick combo, one where we use a stinger to knock a guy into a smelting pool, a neat one where we have to thread stinger missiles through small holes by locking onto targets and skewing our aim to curve the path, one where we have to shoot through an exact number of target walls to reach the goal, and wasting any FAMAS bullets means we come up short, a really cool Nikita mission with tons of targets and ramps calling out that we can manually detonate the missiles in midair. The whole Nikita series should have been like this, really. One that's a daring Claymore heist between 2 moving searchlights, one that you'd see in a game like Medieval where we precision drop grenades to raise all towers at once, a puzzle where we have to blow up a security camera by luring the guard out, planting a C4 on him and letting him return within range, love that one, and another great one where we retrieve a single Claymore and let the lone guard wonder whose footprints are these all the way along the long path, which doubles back on itself, meaning there's a good chance we'll get spotted along the way, and we have to destroy both targets at the end with a single mine. After puzzles, another solid series with variety mode. In 1, we need to use slow, methodical single chokes to drag a guard on a long path. In 2, we do the same, but we have to throw him in a hole at the end, which I always did with a hip throw, but it might be easier with the kick combo. Level 3, same deal, kick into holes. Thankfully guards can't hear you beating the crap out of somebody 2 feet behind them. 4 is a messy mission, taking out a row of enemies with C4. 5 is really a puzzle, just squeeze to the goal in the brief openings. 6 features stealth camo enemies, but they're fairly easy to see and avoid. We'll deal with these a lot more in MGS2. 7 is basically missile command in 3D as we shoot down UFOs over a virtual hill before they reach our position. 8 is a good twist that, again, could have been part of the PSG-1 missions, where we sharpshoot targets in between non-targets. 9 and 10 are awesome, basically a pistol and rifle course where we advance through a series of rooms and hallways and take out a group of moving targets in each one. Level 11. Probably if you played this one, you'll remember it. Levels 12 and 13 make sure to explain, this stage has nothing to do with the main game sequence, implying that the giant UFO did have something to do with the main game sequence. We guard Meryl from Genola, a sort of genome Godzilla, another scene that isn't actually very engaging to play, but everyone remembers it. Next, the awesome but confusingly named VR mission, which has some similarities to the survival VR mode from MGS1. We start empty-handed on level 1 and need to get through 10 continuous levels. These aren't super complex, but again they give us a chance to combine weapons and strategies, and there's a freedom to choose whether you want to go after certain equipment. The first level is a block remake of the first part of the original MSX Metal Gear. Several stages end with barriers that require loud weapons we have to work around. It does feel like an escalation as the levels get longer and more complex. Level 5 uses lasers, level 7 uses radar jamming, level 8 features a large central target tower behind bars I like to pretend is the stationary Metal Gear we're sabotaging. Level 9, the classic MG music kicks in, and level 10 is of course the iconic Foxhound logo. Now, the ninja missions, which the back of the box crowed about. Unfortunately there are only 3 and they're all pretty similar, but the ninja control's kinda clunky anyway. The first and most interesting has a slashing target scattered around a warehouse, and it's definitely nice to see a brand new Shadow Moses styled area rather than a green VR grid. The second has us killing 30 enemies in waves, and the third has us find and kill Snake without being seen, or really a guard with Snake's head. That one's pretty good, but some missions in Shadow Moses areas with the ninja would have been great. The last is NG Selection. My headcanon is that this stands for Next Generation Special Forces Selection Exam, but I couldn't find an actual answer. Claymore Retrieval is about as exciting as it sounds. World's smallest stage is goofy but fun. The different look for the guards in this series is the shocking part. Cardboard Box is a game of robot red light green light with a guard that has an embiggened cone of vision. Whirlpool Stage looks cool, but it's hard to screw up. You Can't Afford Mistakes has noise-making floors and alternating guards to get past with more weird textures. Disappearing Target speaks for itself, another sniper one, but there's only 3 of the phasing crystals at least. Race Against Time has us beat this guard to the stinger and then get down here for the ammo to spawn a goal here with plenty of time remaining. And finally, at the scene of the crime is a mystery throwback, where we need to hide in here and wait for the perp to return for his book about 40 seconds in and drag him to the goal. And that's it. Enjoy this confidential picture of Metal Gear Ray over 2 years before MGS2's release for hitting 100% completion. Thanks for watching.
The Grid. I kept dreaming of a world I thought I'd never see. And then, one day, I got in.
One of the greatest soldiers ever.
The man they call the greatest warrior of the 20th century.
We can't give him his body. Revolver Ocelot. We can't give him his body. The beautiful and deadly sharpshooter. We can't give him his body. With his powerful psychic abilities. We can't give him his body. Specialist in interrogation. Giant and shaman.
Yes.
It's potentially more dangerous than all the nuclear warheads on that island put together.
I hear the terrorists calling themselves the Sons of Big Boss.